I have your attention, please, all rise. Lawrence County Municipal Court's now in session. The Honorable Donald R. Kemper presiding. All those having business before the court draw near and you shall be heard. God bless the great state of Ohio and this honorable court. You may be seated.
Good morning. Today is November 5th. We're here for preliminary hearing of one case. So we'll go ahead and call that case now.
State of Ohio versus Joshua Collins, case number CRA 24699, CRB 24682, CRA 24684, CRB 24689, CRB 24688.
Mr. Collins will come down and sit with his counsel at the counsel table.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask if you have a hand release to be able to take notes.
That's fine. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll be proceeding on 24699 and 24684. We would call Detective Sergeant Brad Lehman.
And if I may, Your Honor, I think this is probably a moot point because the state's indicated they're only going to call one witness, but move for separation of witness if anyone else is going to testify.
No objection.
All right. Detective, you come up, I'll swear you in. Would you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. Proceed, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, please state your full name for the record.
It's Brad Lehman,
And where are you employed?
Lawrence County Sheriff's Office.
And in what capacity?
I'm a detective sergeant with the Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been employed with the Sheriff's Department?
About 12 years.
Were you called to the scene on October 24th, 2024 at the South Point Elementary School?
Yes.
First of all, when did you first receive the call?
It would have been that afternoon. It would have been roughly 1 o'clock that afternoon.
Okay. And what information were you provided initially?
I received a call from actually my partner in the detective's office who said, hey, I'm on my way to South Point. There's been an incident there. There's an off-call for everyone in the county.
And can you tell us where this incident took place, first of all?
South Point Elementary, which would be in Perry Township in the village of South Point.
And that's here in Lawrence County, Ohio?
Yes.
All right. And did you directly go to the scene?
Yes, I went directly to the school.
And can you describe to the court what you found when you arrived?
So as I pull in, I get out, there's other officers already on scene standing out in front of the school. As I start into the building, the first thing I notice is a lot of busted glass and some blood in the front. I call it the lobby area of the school. The way the school's set up, it's a lot like most of our schools in the county. You enter into 2 glass doors, and then there's 2 more doors to actually get into the school. And there's usually a door off to the side of that goes in directly into the office.
And is that the case here?
Yes.
All right. And where was the glass broken?
The glass was busted on the door going into the office.
Okay.
And also, I believe there was a bust in the front glass closest to the door.
What did you first do to begin your investigation when you arrived?
I immediately began taking photographs and trying to get control of the scene. There was a lot of students still in the school, a lot of staff still in the school, along with the victim and his Mr. Christian was still in the school as well.
And was anybody in custody?
Yes, Mr. Collins was in custody.
Okay. Did you speak with the victim that day?
Not that day, I did the next.
Okay. Were you able to determine if there were video of the incident?
Yes, I noticed that there was video actually in the front lobby area, so I asked the superintendent to let me see the video.
And have you reviewed that video?
I have.
Now, I would like for you to, if you could, just to walk the judge through what you saw on the video.
So the first thing you see is Mr. Collins actually come up to the door. He's wearing a toboggan with sunglasses on, so you really can't see his face or see who it is. He's buzzed into the front lobby area. He removes the toboggan and sunglasses. William Christian, Bill Christian, the principal for the elementary school, he comes out and they're talking. There's no audio, but you can say they're having a conversation. Mr. Christian turns to face the office, and when he turns, you can see Mr. Collins pull a knife from his pocket. He then takes that knife and stabs Mr. Christian across like in the back, up toward the neck area. Mr. Christian then turns and tries to get away and goes up to the glass going into the school. And you can see Mr. Collins take the knife and flip it, keep it upside down like this, and takes his left hand and puts it in front of his face and looks like a boxing stance, and then swipes at Mr. Christian a few times like that. Then Mr. Christian's able to make his way back into the office behind the secured door. Mr. Collins then takes the knife and actually busts the glass out of the office door and reaches in and lets himself in the office.
Okay.
There's no video in the office area. A few minutes later, you see them come back out into the school, and you can see Mr. Christian holding himself like this, walking out of the school with a nurse following behind him. Shortly after that, you see Mr. Collins then come out with the knife in his hand and walk towards the cafeteria area following Mr. Christian. As Mr. Christian makes it to the cafeteria, there's a group of, I would say, 6 or 7, appear to be kindergarten or first grade kids. They began running back through the school. As Mr. Christian makes it into the cafeteria, Mr. Collins is following him. Mr. Christian then doubles back towards the office and makes it back into the office where he shuts the door. Mr. Collins then comes up and busts the glass on the inside of it and gets into the office again.
During this time, is the defendant tracking the victim of the
Yes,
case?
he's following him all the way around.
So the first stabbing takes place in what we can call a secure area
Yeah.
of the school before he's able to break his way into the school, right?
Correct.
And then he follows the victim throughout the school.
Correct. Well, through into the cafeteria area and then back in.
Okay. Then what happens?
Then a short time after that, Mr. Collins then reappears into the hallway of the school, coming back out the office doors without Mr. Christian. As he starts through towards the cafeteria, Mark Majors from the South Point Police Department arrives. Shortly before that, the superintendent arrives, along with another school employee. They come in, they see Mr. Collins, and they see Mark Majors from the South Point Police Department. They let Patrolman Majors in. He then has his weapon drawn, and you see Mr. Collins go down to his knees and then down to his belly. And then shortly after that, Deputy Cochran arrives, who was working as a school resource officer that day for the entire South Point district. So it was at a different building at the time. He comes in and gets handcuffs on Mr. Collins, and they get him out of the school.
And do you see Mr. Collins in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point him out to the judge, please?
I expect it.
Record will say you pointed to the defendant.
Thank you. And did you speak to Mr. Collins that day?
I did. I went to St. Mary's Hospital in Huntington, spoke with him.
And did you Mirandize him?
I did. I advised him of his rights.
Can you tell the court what he told you?
So we spoke for roughly 2 hours. We talked about when he first met his ex-wife and everything leading up to the day that this happened. Mr. Collins said that he went to the school to pick up his child, and when he got there, the school had already released the child to the mother. So he kept asking where his kid was, and he said, so his exact words, I believe, was something to the extent of, I did what I did, I didn't kill him. And then I said, what do you mean you didn't kill him? Could you have? He said, yeah, I could have.
Was he injured in any way?
Yes, he had a cut on his arm from reaching in and busting the glass. I could have busted the glass from reaching in and unlocking the door.
And did he tell you that's where that injury came from?
I don't recall if that's where he told me it came from or not.
Who processed the scene?
BCI.
And Mr. Christian, you spoke to him the following day?
Yeah, I spoke with him the following day.
Tell us about that conversation.
So I went that night to speak with Mr. Christian, but he had been sedated and was on a vent, so we weren't able to speak. The next day, he was alert, was able to speak, so I spoke with him, asked him just to kind of explain to me what happened. He said that Mr. Collins came in and he knew it was Mr. Collins' day to pick up the son, but the mom had picked up the son earlier. He really didn't think too much about it. And then they were talking, and he said as he turned and looked behind him, he noticed that Mr. Collins had a knife, and Mr. Collins began stabbing him. He was able to make his way towards the back glass door, which was actually what goes into the school, and kept saying, "Stop, you're going to kill me." And Mr. Collins says, "I know I am." And then Mr. Christian makes it into the office. Mr. Collins then breaks in the door and comes into the office. So Mr. Christian says he's yelling for everybody to lock down, and he makes it out into the school. And as he's going through the school, he stated that he remembers Mr. Collins almost stalking him through the school, and he's just saying, "I'm going to kill you," and that he wanted his boy. And so Mr. Christian then makes his loop around, and when he gets back in, he's able to get away from Mr. Collins and actually retreats into a bathroom that doesn't have a window and locks the door. And then once he hears the word police, he unlocks the door and comes out because he was afraid he was going to die in the bathroom.
What injuries did Mr. Christian sustain?
He had lacerations to his face, his ear, and stabs on his back, and a laceration in the back of his head.
And you said at the time that this incident occurred, he was actually placed on a vent in the hospital?
Yes.
So he suffered serious physical harm as
Yes.
a result. Judge, that's all the questions I have for purposes of this hearing.
Thank you. Mr. Schreier, you may cross-examine.
Detective Sergeant, you testified that you took extensive photographs of the scene.
I took some photographs when I first walked in, just to preserve it because I knew that it was a chaotic scene. So I wanted to get as many photographs as I could there at the very, very beginning before we started trying to get the rest of the staff and students out. BCI then came in afterwards and took more photographs.
Okay, the photographs you took, did you preserve those?
Yes.
And have you provided those to the state?
Yes.
You talked about watching some video. Do you have that video?
Yes.
And have you preserved that?
Yes.
And have you provided that to the state?
Yes.
All right. You mentioned talking to defendant at St. Mary's Hospital. You said you Mirandized him. Did you obtain a written Miranda waiver?
No, sir. It was all done verbally recorded, which I did preserve that and provided that recording.
Okay, so you have it was an audio recording
It was
or
all
video?
recorded, yes.
Okay. And that all took place at St. Mary's?
St. Mary's in Huntington, West
And
Virginia.
and at the time it took place, Mr. Collins was a patient?
Correct.
Okay. You testified that Mr. Collins had a wound on his arm from busting out a window. You're speculating it.
Yeah, I assume it's from when the way on the video, when you watch the video, as you see Mr. Collins walking, you can actually see the blood dripping from his arm, which it was not like that when he first came in. It only started when he came out of the office. So I'm assuming it's from when he busted the window to come in.
But you don't know that that's how he got
Correct.
injured?
Yeah, just an assumption.
All right. You have just one moment. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. Thank
You
you.
may sit down, sir. Thank you. Any other evidence from the state?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
Any
Thank you.
evidence from the defendant?
No evidence from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, I find there's sufficient evidence presented by the state to bind over cases 24-684, the felonious assault, 24-699, attempted murder. Then the other matters, the misdemeanors, you want to nolly those?
Well, nolly those to the grand jury,
To the
Your Honor.
grand jury.
Yes, sir.
The bond will remain the same at $2 million. Is there anything else, any other business involving this case that needs to be addressed today?
Nothing from the state judge.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Court's adjourned.